Our next guest coming up live right now, a return visit to the Jim Masters Show Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. Renowned psychic, healer, medium, spiritualist, musician, and singer Gary L. Wimmer is here. He's also going to share an incredible near-death experience that he had that changed his life forever. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jim Masters. It's great to have you with us in Loveity Hall. Thanks to everybody who's watching from all around the world. If you want to comment, feel free to do that. And of course, give this episode a like if you enjoy it on our YouTube channel, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV as well. We love to have you here at Jim Masters TV and the Jim Masters Show. Without further ado, we welcome everybody. We say hello to all the Loveities and all the viewers around the world again, and we are going to dive right in with a little bit of a clip introducing you to our very special guest. If you didn't see the first episode, you can see it archived on our YouTube channel when Gary was here. But if this is your first time with us here on the Jim Master Show, or the first time you're hearing about Gary Wimmer, comes to us from Austin, Texas, USA. And here's a little short story about our very special guest.
My name is Gary L. Wimmer, and I can certainly attest to the fact that I've had a very interesting life. I've got a reading, actually an astrology reading, and people told me I was psychic, and it answered a lot of my questions about religion and God and the universe. I was just drawn to it, I suppose. I've been actually reading for people since about 1972. In 1980, I met a lady who taught me a method of reading stones called Lithomancy, and so that became my main method since 1980, and I still use that method. Wrote a book on it, too. Music is a technique. It's learned, it's practice, it's something you get better at every day. The more you practice, the better you get, and I think life is that way. Life is techniques. Life is practice. Everybody misses the target, makes bad decisions, or regrets something they've done or said, but you can't change the past. Just move on. You hit a bad note, move on. I've probably done thousands of readings in the last 10, 20 years, and the diversity of people, ironically, the situations, the choices, the things we are challenged by are very similar. Love, money, hope, that sort of thing, family. Very similar, very different situations. I had a near-death experience in 1977, wrote a book called A Second in Eternity, and from that moment forward, I realized the preciousness of every moment in time. So I really try to stay inspired with everything. It's an ongoing work. I certainly don't have it mastered. It's a work in progress. I think psychic ability, psychic phenomena is a part of everybody. I just think most people don't recognize it. And if they did, it'd be a better world for all. It's very empowering.
And here he is back with us live from Austin, Texas, USA. Gary L. Wimmer joining us. Gary, welcome back to the show, my friend.
My pleasure, brother. And again, I appreciate what you do.
I appreciate that as well. And you look like $1,000,000. You look like you're living, the dream. You look healthy and happy and trim and fit. Wow. What's the secret?
That's a compliment. I'm 76 and I don't feel that old, although my body is saying, you ain't 20 anymore. I've learned one thing in life. It's all attitude.
I was going to say, what's the secret? What would you say? Everybody's like, gee, he looks like $1,000,000. What is his secret? It is attitude. It's mindset, right?
Always attitude, perspective, intentions, attitude. That's the real power. That's free will.
It really is. We have so much to talk about. We are so excited to welcome you back. And our viewers really enjoyed listening and watching the episode you were on last time. We had thousands of comments, thousands of views, people still watching that episode from around the world on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. How have you been? Very busy since we chatted last. We were sort of in the thick of unusualness during the very first conversation we had about 2 years ago, and sort of come through all of that. How have you been?
considering all the possibilities, I'm blessed and extremely grateful and extremely pleased. The whole world's going through a lot of challenges, you and me and everybody included, but uh, we're not going to change that. We're not going to change the fact that the world is transforming, that we're getting a whole bunch of curveballs and we're seeing the holes in the boat so we can fix them, but we can fix them. We can change our attitude. We can change our perspective. And having gone through enough depression and anxiety and being lost, I finally came to that conclusion. It's all attitude. That's the one thing you can always tune up. And if you got that on, whatever the situation is okay, maybe even better.
That's so true. Mindset and attitude, like you said, it does go full circle. We are in an interesting time. You and I were chatting about it before we went live on the air. It's like a sea change, like a monumental big shift with big things on the horizon. And I know you're a big believer in that. Tell us about that, Gary. What's happening?
Well, I saw a lot of this unknown that anybody could see it in 1977 in a near-death experience, which I wrote the book about, A Second Eternity. When I came back into my body, I saw all these flashcards of the future. This was 1977. Excuse me. And they were about all this change we're going through now. I saw 9/11. I saw COVID-19. I saw these changes in weather, changes in patterns. I didn't know so much about global warming then, but and then I saw the other side of all this. The next 50, 100 years, when we get through this challenging, difficult time, and we really find universal peace. Now, I don't know if there's going to be 1,000,000 people on the planet then or 20 billion. The possibilities are endless. In fact, every day we see new possibilities, and this happens and that happens. One thing is for sure, we're going through a transformation. Everybody's affected by it. Exactly what course that river takes, what happens, that's collective and individual free will all working together. Because I don't believe in accidents. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything manifests from some form of cause and effect. Something makes something happen. And this big transformation we're going through is because you and me and everybody on this planet came here to learn something, and we may or may not know what it is or why, but life's trying to remind us that, pay attention. You might tune into why or what. But we get the choice whether to pay attention, ask the questions, heed the insight, benefit, grow, or not give a damn and go get drunk. Anywhere in between.
It seems like the earth as well is angrier than ever, with these monumental hurricanes and floods and earthquakes, tornadoes. Multiple volcanoes have been erupting the last couple of years, windstorms, wildfires. It just seems like the earth itself is also going through some sort of a shift. Of course, we just happen to be here as it's doing that, and it's probably done it before. It just seems as though, it just feels like the earth is giving us some sort of messages about taking care of this Garden of Eden we have called the earth, but also to shape up and take care of one another.
Absolutely. The earth has gone through many changes, of course, throughout history. It's 4 billion history. It's only in the last 10 million years that human beings have been here and experienced it. So the earth is still going to change one way or another. But indeed, we are affecting it with environment, with pollution, even with our attitudes, our thoughts, collective mind, individual mind. That affects things more than we believe. So you add all these incremental little things stacking together, and a lot of change is happening. It's not exactly, in my opinion, exactly predictable what's going to happen when, but the current is moving and flowing, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I suggest to everybody kind of be at peace, because we can't change a lot of things. We can change the way we look terrified or becoming enlightened, we can change whether we ask the right questions and seek information, or whether we stay angry and upset. No, life's picking on me. Attitude, intentions, perspective. That's the real power, regardless of the turmoil we or the world are going through, because we calibrate it, judge it, evaluate it, and experience it inside. And if we have that light on more, which is unlimited, no limit to how much we can turn that light on. If we have it on brighter, we see better. Period. We're all learning to do that.
When did you realize you had these gifts, these talents, this ability, that psychic ability and ability, to be a healer as well? Was it that very crucial accident that happened in 1977? I mean, you had a situation that came out of left field where, this car accident, hit by this car, and then you actually died and then came back. That whole experience, I mean, is incredibly emotional and deep and inspiring.
Mm.
Tell us about some of that. I know you wrote the book about it too. I encourage folks to get the book and take a deep dive. But for the viewers who are watching, saying, how could that be? What had happened back then? And how has it also changed Gary's life?
Well, let me give you a short backstory. I'm the third of 7 brothers. I got a brother a year older than me and 2 years older than me, and several younger. My 2 oldest brothers were competing their whole life. At a very young age, I seemed to develop a sense of intuition about things, because I didn't want to be caught in their circus or fight. In high school and college, I always felt like I had a certain perception of things, but I didn't know what to do with it, didn't know what it was. In college, a lady did a horoscope for me. I was an electrical engineer, but she said, "You got a lot of psychic ability. You got a lot of interest in this." And I kind of did. I was reading books by Edgar Cayce and Madame Blavatsky, and I was raised Catholic. I had no problem with God and Jesus. But once I went through puberty, I did have a problem with the Catholic Church, so, but I was asking all the time, what's the truth? What's the truth? I had 6 brothers. The rest of them didn't ask that. A lot of people didn't. I did. A lot of people aren't jugglers, a couple are, whatever. So, yeah, I started asking. I moved to Austin in 72 and started giving readings. A couple psychics suggested methods. I used a regular deck of playing cards. And then in 1977, out of the clear blue, I started going through this expansive, unpredictable, all of a sudden on full blast psychic ability. It seemed to come out of the clear. It was January 31st, 1977. Within 24 hours, I could pick up what everybody was saying and feeling and who was calling on the phone. And I could hear a car coming up the street and see it before it came into view. And my roommate was blown away by this, and I was too. And this started building up and building up. Yeah, I was scared, but I was fascinated. But I was not in normal world. After 2 days of this, the fascination and the fear sort of were both amping up. But I didn't know what was going on, didn't know if I could turn it off. I guess I just stuck around for the ride because I didn't really have a choice. And I could tell you some incidences that happened during that period. For example, I could not turn this off. I was either perceiving things, picking things up, or in my mind, externalizing psychic ability. I'd look at a stranger 3 blocks away and think, wow, take your hat off. And the person would. And then I'd go, wow, did I make that happen? Or did I just happen to pick up that person was about to do that? Did I witness it or create it? I couldn't tell the difference, Jim. I could not tell the difference. And this built up and up and up. I had no idea why or what I was going through, but I kept feeling people around me asking questions about, when are you going? Like I'd go to a music store and everybody was talking in symbolism, I noticed a couple times I could pick up like a dog was going to run in front of the car, and I screamed it out 3 blocks before we got to the intersection where the dog ran out. I saw that in advance. freaking me out, freaking other people out. At the end of the week of this, I was terrified. Now, I had been feeling these sort of guardian angels. They called themselves the monitors, or I agreed to that term. I can't remember, but I started thinking of them as monitors because they were monitoring me. And that gave me a certain degree of peace, needless to say. Well, after a week, I couldn't take this craziness anymore. I was terrified. I left my apartment, started walking down toward UT, University of Texas here in Austin, Guadalupe Street. And it got so intense, I was crying and praying, and big circle of people are all around me, concerned. I felt like saying, "Don't get too close, I might blow up." I didn't know,
Right. Yeah.
So
It's all new to you. Yeah.
in the height of this most level of fear that I have never experienced, all of a sudden it just stopped. Well, I stopped. I was crying. I just stopped, closed my eyes. The fear stopped. I felt warm all of a sudden. Opened my eyes. There's a huge light 6 feet above me. Not 12, not 4. Looked like a big spotlight. I looked around and none of these people who were staring at me even acknowledged it. I didn't care. I saw it. I looked up. Then the light turned into a crystal table about that thick. Not that thick, not that thick. It's a specific crystal. And the hands of these 7 white-robed beings had their palms on this table, and this big column of light that went around me came down from their hands. And then I realized, wow, these are beings. And they said, "Do you trust us?" And I said, "Well, wait, what's going on? I don't know. Shh, do you trust us?" I said, "You're the monitors." They said, "Yes, do you trust us?" Finally, I agreed. Long story short, within a couple seconds, I was hit head on by a speeding car. Wham! Saw my body tumble around. I left my body, got out of it, and started expanding like a balloon, all directions. The fear was gone, and the joyride began. All of a sudden, I was in ecstasy and expanding. The earth went inside me. I could see the whole earth. All the planets went inside me. My body, of course, is still down there on the ground, but my consciousness is expanding. And soon I had no awareness of being me, of life, of earth, just this sensation. Incredibly beautiful. Expanded. Long story short, I felt like I got rolled up into a big tunnel of light, went through it, ended up in a blue, sky blue, infinite void of infinite mind. And I knew instantly this was infinite mind. It had no limitations, and either it existed and everything would be possible and exist, or it wouldn't existed and nothing would exist. There's no in between. It was complete infinite. And again, I had no awareness of me being part of it or even observing it. It was pure sensation. But then I felt like I was observing it. And I was kind of pulled back towards somewhere, I didn't know where. In the book, I use the term spiritual gravity because that's what it felt like. I was being pulled back. I was rather apprehensive, I was just in heaven, man. I don't want to leave. But I was pulled back into Earth and closer and closer to this galaxy and then closer to Earth. And as I entered Earth, I saw 3 series of pictures, like flashcards. One of them was all the stuff we're going through now, COVID-19 to 9/11 to hurricanes and potential war. So many things, so many flashcards, but I knew what I was seeing. The next series of flashcards were like 50 to 100 to 150 years from now when we get into the age of Aquarius, when we get rid of all these bad, stupid, ignorant things we are doing as human beings and reach the light. So that was real inspiring. And then a third series of images was about me. I didn't know it. It was a musician, and I saw myself playing piano and traveling all over. At the time, I was going through a lot of depression because I was just trying to find gigs, as a musician. As I told you earlier, Jim, you have a beautiful voice. I didn't. I was not a great singer. I taught myself piano in 1980 and became a soloist. And I saw that vision of me playing piano in 77. I didn't play piano then. It encouraged me to do that. So, yeah, when I saw my body, all of a sudden, I went, wow, that's me. I jumped back into it. People screaming and hollering. The drivers hovering over me, terrified. You know, I just been to heaven. It was weird, but I didn't need all this confusion. It
Mm.
was confusing enough. I tried to push the driver away. He fell back and later filed a suit on me for assault because he was trying to help, but I didn't need that. I just wanted to walk home. Too confusing. And then I heard ambulances coming and cops, and everybody said, hang around. I'll just talk to the police about it, explain what happened. Well, when the police and the ambulance and the cops came there, they're all looking for a body lay out in the middle of the street because they're head on collision. This guy got hit, and there's no body there. And I'm walking around talking to people. And they're looking around. And so all the people say, he's the guy. Yeah, I'm the guy. And they were mind blown. I didn't have a scratch. I didn't feel any pain. It was like, to me, it was insignificant. I had just been to Infinite Mind and back. And so the cops and ambulance and police were trying to ask me what happened. Well, what happens? I just went to Infinite Mind and back. They didn't want to hear that part of the story, And I understood. I knew immediately that, wow, nobody's going to believe this. Nobody's going to understand. But you know what? I don't care. Thank you for the voyage. Immediately, I was gratified. Felt gratitude, but it was chaos. They had to take me to the hospital to X-ray me. Wouldn't let me walk home. When I got to the hospital, they checked me out. No injury, nothing. And of course, the doctors and nurses are saying what happened. Every time I started telling about what really happened, understandably, they didn't want to hear it. It was too confusing. Hell, I couldn't even understand it. How could I make sense to them about it? But they asked the question. Finally, a man walked up to me in the emergency room. I'm laying down in the gurney over in the corner. I'd seen a premonition about him. He was a psychiatrist. I knew about his family and stuff. And he explained that we just can't let you just walk home, buddy. This is kind of strange. We got to commit you to a psychiatric hospital to check you out. You can put me anywhere, man. I just been to heaven. So, yeah, I went to, they put me in jail till they could get an order of protective custody signed by my family or a federal judge or a state judge or somebody to commit me. My brother signed the form. 2 days later, I'm in Shoal Creek Hospital here. And I was still so psychic. I could tell what time the doctor was going to come in every day. I could pick up things about the patients. In fact, I wrote on a piece of paper every day the time my psychiatrist would come in at 2:48 p.m. and put it in an envelope and hand it to the nurse at the desk and say, when he comes in, you hand him that envelope. And he'd come in, what's this, Gary? I said, look at it. 2:40, what does that mean? Look at your watch. Second day, same time. Third day, he didn't want to see it. And I could understand because he was a good guy, but a very textbook fundamentalist psychiatrist, and he could not understand what I was talking about. So I was trying to show him what psychic ability was. After 10 days, went before a board of psychiatrists, and they want to know if you're stable enough to leave. And I said, I ain't changed my story. You guys are doctors. You ought to explore this.
How was your physical body at that time too, having had that, accident? Were they concerned also about, recovery of your physical body too?
I suppose so, but they took me to the emergency room and couldn't find one thing wrong with me. Couldn't find it, other than I was amped up and weird.
Wow.
But yeah, they x-rayed me. They had doctors are looking for glass. It's amazing. No glass got in my hair because the whole windshield was crashed up,
I think we're interviewing the $6 million man here, folks.
It was a true miracle. And from that moment forward, I began to believe in miracles. As I told you earlier, I can't get Russia out of Ukraine or peace in the Middle East, but I do believe in miracles, and I suggest other people start believing in them too, because they can help you.
You do. What a great story. It's amazing. I know that's such a pivotal point in your life. How has it changed? I mean, obviously you had these abilities prior, but it really came to the forefront then. How has it changed, Gary, from that point forward? The Gary prior to that accident and the Gary post that near-death experience.
When I was in the hospital, the psychiatric hospital, they correctly diagnosed me as bipolar. I've had extremes my whole life. I'm a double Scorpio. I go through intense extremes, you know. So I kind of couldn't argue with that medical diagnosis. But from that point on, once I saw Infinite Mind and I saw these pictures of myself in the future, traveling around playing music successfully, and at the time, I was having a hard time even getting in good bands because I wasn't a good singer. It was all vocal work in the 70s. I got real frustrated. So from that point forward, I started realizing that I had a lot of power. I could create things. I ain't going to change my genes and I ain't going to grow. I'm not going to wake up and sing like Ray Charles, but I can learn to be very, with what I have, with what anybody has, you can learn how to make your package work at resonance a lot more efficiently, a lot better, a lot more creative, a lot happier than you believe. By first of all, believing it, just like you play golf. You make a decision, you go practice. That's how you learn to play golf or raise your consciousness or rid yourself of fears and demons. Practice, decision, then relax, love yourself. Those are some of the basic rules for survival because we're going through a crazy time. And we ain't going to change that, but it's not without merit. It's not in vain. We're getting to see everything that needs to be addressed in 3D IMAX 24/7 breaking news all across the planet. And a lot of it we don't have much of an effect on. But the more you think positive, creative, ask your guide to help you think gratitude, think peace in Ukraine, Gaza, the whole world. You know, a couple minutes a day of those good intentions, that builds up. It adds to the collective goodwill, higher consciousness that the planet not only needs, but that can cleanse the planet, help the planet grow. I'm an optimist in spite of all the crap. Excuse my French.
In addition to being a psychic and a spiritualist and everything else, you're a healer as well. Tell us about your work as a healer, because the world certainly can use a dose of healing about now.
I think of healing more in terms of spiritual and psychic and mental expansion. When I do readings for people, I don't give medical diagnosis because I ain't a doctor. And I've got 3 or 4 doctors at my age, and they look at the medicines and the blood level, and I understand that, and I don't. So I don't give medical diagnosis. But on the other hand, having been hit head on by a speeding car and not even getting a scratch or feeling it, and being shown to believe in miracles, on the other hand, people should never doubt their own ability to heal themselves, to grow, to evolve. Now, if you lose an arm and a leg in a car accident, you're not going to grow them back. But the frustration doesn't have to be permanent. That's the real key. It's all inside, regardless of our situation. And there's plenty of different ones. But nothing's in vain. Life's trying to show us how to conquer our fears and our doubts. But we get to choose to answer the phone and grow and benefit and learn, or do none of the above and continue to be angry and frustrated. And the one thing the universe on this planet right now is trying to say is, do we have your attention? You know, you're going to be part of the solution of the problem.
That's a good way to look at it. Exactly. So, we've gone through some major things and continue to in the recent years. What are some of the things that people, when you do the psychic readings and all the other things that you do, Gary, what are some of is there a theme as far as what people are looking for, searching for, as far as answers, purpose? Do you find a running theme in terms of what people are on the hunt for in their lives these days? And has that changed over the years?
I think the basic human issues are pretty much the same now as they were 1,000 years ago. Love, family, making a living, having something to eat, peace, harmony, you know, basic things like that. Now the situation's changed a lot. The whole world's different, of course, and so forth. And again, there's a lot of stuff we can't change. But as far as healing, as far as visualization, as far as attitude, as far as intentions, that's power. And when we allow ourselves to believe, just like baseball, you get up to play baseball, and if you get a big bat and a big attitude, and you think I'm going to knock the ball out of the park, you're going to hit more home runs. If you think, oh man, I'm going to strike out, you'll strike out. Life will prove to you the power of our own intentions. That is going on collectively and individually on the whole planet. And we can't be responsible for everybody else's chaos, but we can be responsible for ours, and we can take steps and practice to heal ourselves, to come to a new level of self-love, of power. And that's unlimited. One thing I realized through my near-death experience is the mind, the soul, the heart, the internal is unlimited. And that's where real power is. And we get that thing tweaked, we get that spotlight on, everything's bright. We can see everything. So there's a lot of commonality between problems and situations. There's certainly a lot of different situations. But the one thing is always true. We do have more power than we believe by believing it, practicing it, trying it, just like the home run, you know. Uh, and I use the example, people, if you don't play cello today, that doesn't mean you can't learn tomorrow. If you don't understand life, that doesn't mean you can't start learning it sooner or later. Takes a commitment, takes practice, takes exercise. But then again, it's not how hard you work, it's how smart, it's how intelligent, it's how much honesty with yourself and with others you allow to come into play so you can see your power, learn your power. When you're full of hate and anger, yeah, you'll have power there, but guess what? You'll be slapping people around, people will slap you around. It's a no-win situation. Love, higher consciousness, that's a win-win situation.
Do you still have nightmares, memories, vivid moments from that accident? Are you bothered by it, haunted by it? And somebody had posted in the chat room, and we welcome everybody. Does any of these abilities override you, overtake you, lecture to you, and do they ever become overwhelming and bothersome for Gary himself?
No. In one word, no. Because my near death experience showed me that we're all part of infinite mind and we can benefit from anything. And I went through so much depression and fear and anxiety in my 20s. And I have to admit, Jim, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm really not. If it kills me, you're in heaven, no problem. If it slaps me in the face, I'll learn to get away from the slapping hand. Everything can be a win-win. It really can be. So no, I'm not disturbed at all by my psychic ability and so forth. If anything, it's a beautiful, empowering tool. I get curveballs in life just like everybody. Sometimes I don't know how I'm going to get this done or make this work or blah, 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 blah. But if I had no challenges and changes and surprises and curveballs, I'd end up dumber than this piece of wood right here, or the wall or the curtain or all, Challenges make us think, help us grow. But we get to choose whether to see it that way and benefit or go look for a complaint department, which doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. I tell you, the infinite mind, it's really extraordinary, huh? It's just...
I never even thought about it, never even considered the possibility that anybody could go there.
How do you even define it and describe it for the viewers that are watching, saying, is this like a Twilight Zone fifth dimension or something? It's hard, I'm sure, to put it into words.
Oh, it's very hard. It's very hard to put into words, except on the simplest form. Infinite mind exists and everything is possible in some reality. I even believe in, quantum physics. multiple universes. Yeah, you move your hand that way. You made a universe where you moved your hand that way. If you moved your hand this way, you helped create a completely different universe, or similar, but they're different. Every thought, every action, every moment helps create another parallel universe. And to us observers, it all fits together rather seamlessly. But that's the power of infinite mind. Infinite mind can, we're all part of it. It is beyond explanation. But think in terms of the best you can of infinite possibilities over infinite time with, and this is the most important thing, no bias. Infinite mind is not Christian or this or that. It's infinite possibilities for life and experience through all time and space. We just happen to be caught up on Earth and in particular bodies with feuding religions and societies and people. But again, if you didn't have some sort of plus and minus, some sort of electricity, some sort of yin yang, we'd be stagnant, dumb, and not learning anything. So yeah, I'm an optimist about what I've been through. I'm glad I had my experiences. I've learned through trial and error to turn my whole life around. And believe me, folks, I went to hell and back of depression and anxiety when I was in my 20s. And I'm so glad life showed me that it can be a temporary condition. Think of it that way. So many things we go through can be temporary conditions because we're trying to learn something. Life's trying to show us something. Don't be afraid. We go through periods of fear, but if you never went through fear, you'd never learn to become fearless. Now, I have to admit, I went through so much fear. I'm not afraid of anything, and I'm not daring the universe to strike me dead. I really feel that way, and it's not stupid. You know, that doesn't mean I don't run if the fire's in my house. You know, I don't live in an altered world where nothing can go wrong. I just live in a world where whatever is happening, I can benefit from it. I can learn. I can do something. And if it drives me crazy, I'll turn it off.
That's it. Pierre Kelly asks, watching here on the show, good to see Pierre and everybody watching live and those who watch this in the archives later. Don't forget to post your comments in the comments section. What was a brief taste of the afterlife like?
Empowering, beautiful, extraordinary. I could go on with those kind of words, but the most fascinating thing is, for example, if you look at life on this planet, we have everything from amoeba to gorillas to zebras to you and me. There's so many different biological levels just of life on this planet. Infinite mind has infinite levels of consciousness. Some souls are guardian angels, some souls help here, not all souls incarnate. So there's infinite levels, and different people have different near-death experiences, very different. But the one thing that's in common with all of them, and this is true, and this is the same thing I experienced, infinite love. Because when I saw infinite mind and infinite possibilities, not with no bias, and not even me as an observer, like everybody's had an NDE somewhere down there, the resonance, it all manifested from infinite love. Now, how infinite love manifests into infinite time and space and creativity and quantum particles and you and me that's a challenging thing. It's certainly beyond what science can understand, but that's the way it worked. Infinite mind. Edgar Cayce describes it a neat way, one of the best psychics ever. He said, God moved, God saw himself. Basically, God said, if you want to put it in some sort of understandable terms, I think I'll be everything everywhere all the time. And you're one, and I'm one, and everybody is part of this. So we're all experiencing different levels of life, different people, different situations. And on the other side, there's a lot of different things we can experience. I felt like in my particular case, for whatever reason, and I'm grateful, I went from the basement through the top floor, infinite mind, and back without stopping anywhere. But I saw things. I saw these levels of consciousness. I saw how our thoughts create things. I saw how, and then I saw infinite mind where it was all possible. And again, most mind-boggling, was at its core was infinite love. Infinite love brought this on. And so the vast differences in experiences after death can be almost like the vast different rays of life on this planet. No two are alike, but it's all a product of infinite mind seeing itself. That's what you are. That's what I am. That's what we all are. So yeah, everybody can have a different experience on the other side. I just happen to go to the very edge and very back without kind of going through all the different ones.
Right. So any fear of death itself has been, quote, laid to rest for you
Absolutely.
as a result.
Absolutely.
So what would you say to somebody watching who and there are many who do, they say the number one fear people have is public speaking, but then right a close second is death. Some people say that they fear death itself, that we all die. All of this that we've built, created, tasted, smell, love, enjoyed, heard, felt will stop here. So that scares people. But then there are those who are not as concerned about the fact that there's an end point in terms of this situation, but that it's the how it's going to happen. Will it be
Nobody
dramatic,
wants
painful,
to
and
be.
what other?
Nobody wants to be tortured to death or suffocated.
None of that.
But
But if they fear death itself, what would you say to them?
Pardon me?
If they actually fear even the thought of dying and death itself, as somebody who's done it.
Well, like I said, nobody wants to go through a horrible thing. We can't prevent that. We may end up being on the wrong planet at the wrong time or at the wrong shopping center when Joe Nutt with the AK-47 walks in. Who knows? We can't be always safe from every curveball. That's a fact. So quit worrying about it. Do the best you can to be safe here and now. Use your intelligence. And if you concentrate on here and now, being safe, being enlightened, asking questions, asking the universe to help you, that's the best we can do, because when we cross over to the other side, it's on automatic and it's beautiful. It's not terrifying. Our challenge is here, right now, as you and me in the midst of this changing world. It ain't out there. we ain't out there. We can't do a thing about it except live healthy, happy, creative, and inspired now. And that matters. Intentions, attitude, right here, right now. So don't ever fear death. Nobody wants to die of pain, but what's on the other side, it is beautiful and it is liberating. And everybody's at a NDE. Most people agree with that. There's certainly some people who've had terrifying NDEs. I have some pretty bizarre dreams sometimes, that are like, what the hell? And then I wake up and I go, maybe that's just showing me a fear. So I can think subconsciously, I have a fear about this, so I'm going to work on that or put it aside,
Anything of the paranormal realm enter into your world?
Oh yeah, in dreams and in real life, yeah. I asked a long time ago for my guides to talk to me all the time. I wanted to learn. I wanted to know. I wanted to live on that magic carpet ride of consciousness rather than down in the frustrating gutters of fighting, screaming, and anger. So yeah, I intentionally asked my guides to help me all the time. And someone the other day asked me, how do you know your guides talk to you? They always hear. For example, before I do a reading, I always meditate 5 minutes on gratitude and on help me. Ask my guides to be with me. And the other day, before I did a reading, I was in the middle of that gratitude meditation. And I said, thank you, universe. And my girlfriend in the other room was cooking and went bing on a dish. And I went, that's pretty cool. You just answered me. Bing, bing. I said, I like that, because that's how our guides talk in symbolism. Ain't coincidence, ain't accidents. It's cause and effect. And I said, thank you again. Bing, bing, bing. Instantaneously. So that's how I learned a long time ago to see everything we experience in life can be symbolism. It can talk to us on many levels at once. But in order to see that, just like in order for me to read, I got to put on glasses, in order to see that, you got to set yourself in that mindset of, yes, I want to learn. I can learn. The life can show me. My guides can help me. Instead of, I'm lost, I'm confused, I'm in fear. If you're there, you already been through that. You've done enough exploration in that field. Now it's time to jump over the other side of the fence.
Do you think animals have this understanding and ability as well?
We've got a couple animals. It's a different sort of thing. They don't have individuality in the terms of ego. They have very comforting, giving vibes. I always liked how the Indians and many other cultures would bless their animals when they took their lives, you know. I'm not sure that's the case in American slaughterhouses, you know. But yeah, I believe animals have spirit. Maybe not individual ego or soul, but they have spirit. Actually, when you come down to it, a plant has spirit. A rock has atoms and molecules and quantum physics. And this is one thing that I also realized during my near-death experience. The interface between this world of time and space and cause and effect and everything that's not physical, the interface is right down to the very quantum level. And even physics now is starting to have to concern themselves with some sort of fabric of something that makes everything exist. I hate to use the word consciousness, but sometimes they don't know what else to look at it. And you won't feel many physicists use that word, but Dr. Ruth Kasner, for example, wrote a book on the transactional interpretation of quantum physics. And in her book, which blew my mind, she mentions free will and how it's a creative process of quantum physics. So yeah, the fabric of non-physical to physical is at the smallest scale. That's how things become physical from thought.
Maria is watching, and she had a question. Have you ever gone to a reading, been involved with a reading, and there were unpleasant things that you saw for that person you were doing the reading for?
Of course, people going through all kinds of challenges, but I'm not going to stay on the problem. Period. I work immediately on the solution, what you can do, what you can change. Because, of course, people go through all kinds of craziness and doubt and fear. And I've been there too, believe me. That's why I'm so grateful that I can help people, because I've been to hell and back, you know. I can tell you how to bring a wet trench coat and go through it and come out smelling like a rose. But it's practice, it's decisions. So, yeah, everybody has curveballs and doubts, but we do not have any idea how much power we have. Most people don't. I never did. And I went through such depression and anxiety, and I have to admit, I'm a pretty happy human being. I've got medical problems. I'm 76. You know, have issues right now trying to do some things with government agencies, blah, 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 specifically the IRS. They screwed me around and cashed too many checks, and I'm trying to get the money back. Welcome to life, another curveball. I'm not going to let it screw my head up, period.
And that's usually the opposite. They cash too many. Usually they say there's not enough sent.
Well, I kept trying to do this IDE.
You're so diligent.
This new website, IDE me and so forth. I couldn't get the thing to work, so I could never figure out what I owed and didn't owe, and kept asking them to send me a bill, and they never would. So finally, the guy gave me a link that worked, and realized they didn't get the last check. So I sent them another one, and 2 days later, they got them both. So, Jesus. I kind of laugh at it, you know.
That's what you have to do, right?
Yeah, what can I do? Can't fight the IRS. They'll either mail it back or next year I'll have credit for it. Who cares?
You love the credit. You work with, you were introduced to stones and stonework as well. Tell us about that, and tell us about the myriad of other things that you do in application, Gary.
Well, I learned this system of lithomancy in 1980 from a very gifted psychic. Met her in 1980. She did this kind of reading for me, had a short class, showed me how she did it. Next day, I got 16 stones and put markers on them. The system basically involves 16 stones: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Those are the planet stones. Then love, life, luck, commitment, timing, and place. And I do them in person. I don't do many in person anymore, but if I do them over the phone, people say drop. I drop the stones. I read them like a clock. I start at 12 o'clock. We ran to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and record the reading. And I do not try to tell everybody everything that's going to happen, because things can change. What I do tell people is where they have power and what they can discover in the midst of whatever crisis they're going through. Because I firmly believe there ain't no coincidences, there ain't no accidents. We're all going through something in order to learn something, you know? And so I try to focus on what people can learn and grow, rather than say, on Tuesday, you'll meet Joe. Well, maybe Thursday, and it may be Jim, and it may be completely wrong. So I don't try to pinpoint all the specifics as much as give people the tools for them to be able to make the specifics work according to their timing and brain and heart and soul and conditions and situations.
So when do you know when it's the time to use the stones? Are there certain bits of information you get where you know the stones will be the effective mode?
Well, that's the kind of the default when people ask me to do readings. I mean, I did tarot cards, I did astrology, I did palmistry. But once I learned this method, I keep forgetting which side my book.
I know, because the camera's reversed, right?
Yeah, it always throws me off. I'm reversed enough in life, Cameron. Don't do it to me. But once I learned this system, I liked it because I learned it in 5 minutes. The lady showed me how she did it. I went home, marked 16 stones with Jupiter, Venus, blah, 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 and started practicing. And immediately I started realizing, wow, I can kind of pick this up. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of musicians. I got 6 brothers. Most people aren't interested in that like I am. At least people I knew in my family, and of course, psychics are. So I started learning this, and giving readings that way. It was easy, it was clear, it was unique, it's spontaneous. I didn't have to remember a million interpretations or rules by somebody else. And I learned to look at life in terms of simple symbolism because of my near-death experience. I realized that any moment in time and space for anybody anywhere for any reason can be a portal to infinite mind. Will it be? It was to me, and I didn't even know it was discoverable. In fact, an interesting point is I kept asking my guides for months and months and months in 1977, big that side, why me? Why did I have this experience? I mean, no problem. No, I'm eternally grateful, but what did I possibly do to earn this? And months later, I didn't see them this time, but they shot this information in my brain in a matter of a half a second. And it was basically, you wanted to know. You were curious, you read, you had, like Jack Nicholson, I can handle the truth, and they took me, brought me back. The car accident brought a lot of attention to me, so I'd have these grounding agents, so I wouldn't be able to fly out into the cosmos again. And it took me a while to recover from the near-death experience, but I realized I'd seen the power of psychic ability. So 3 years later, 1980, which side again? There we go. When I learned this lithomancy, I started practicing it immediately. And people have no idea how much they can learn and grow, but a lot of people aren't interested in that. I'm not interested in learning to play golf. Period.
Can't do it all. There's not enough time of the day, right?
That's true.
Wow. So that has enhanced your world as well, the understanding of lithomancy, and I think that's a terrific thing as well. Do you get into the tarot cards as well?
Not anymore. I use a regular deck of playing cards.
Regular deck.
They're real simple for me.
So it can actually work with the playing cards too?
You can work with anything. You can interpret anything from anything. Like I said, any point in time and space can be a portal to infinite mind. So if you just nudge a little bit that way, you're getting insights you wouldn't have had. I lived in Europe from 93 to 2000. I was a musician, and a lot of musicians, their friends, some people at the clubs realized I gave readings, and I didn't always have my stones with me. When I did, I'd give them a reading. But a lot of times I was staying at my girlfriend's house, a musician's house, another place. So a lot of times I didn't know where I was going to be. And many times I started giving readings to people without my stones. I'd have them come up to my little apartment, and on a table, I'd have them arrange a bunch of stuff, an earring, an ashtray, a guitar string, whatever you want, just lay it out there. I'd go in the kitchen, make some tea, meditate, breathe deep, come back in the room, look at the stuff on the table, and be able to interpret it. I could give a reading about people and their situation, but I look at the crap they arranged on the table. Why? Because I know that anything can be a portal to anything. But the reason people use certain things, actually the instruments of whether it's cards or stones, where it used to be called the medium. That was the medium because it gave you a buffer zone between infinite possibilities and tuning into this particular person. The name medium became to mean the person, but the stones, lithomancy, cards, whatever your system is, it's just a method. It's just a symbol. So, yeah, you can learn from anything. And I started giving the readings to people just whatever they wanted to lay out on a table. I never would have thought that way or believed that was even possible had I not been so fortunate to see in 77 that every dot connects to every other dot.
It really does. You know, music is very healing as well. And music has been a big part of your life, you know, all these years. Are you still doing the music? Look at these shots we've got here.
That's Keith Asbury from Austin, Texas at Chewy's Restaurant. Great singer. I met him when he was about 35 or 40. And I've been a musician my whole life. He was driving back from Dallas one time singing along with Baby, I'm Amazed, and realized he could sing, and started a band in Nashville and won the #2 spot at Nashville Battle of the Bands. I started playing with him. So, yeah, that was 1977. And what was your question? Oh, that's me in Toulouse. I started playing piano bars. This is about 1983, and I started playing piano in 1980. So this is like a 3 years experience. It was a dual piano, so the other guy did all the good fancy work. There was another piano over the other side there. So I got with good piano players, and I played rhythm. This is in Europe, a guy named James XL, English bass player, great voice. And we did a bunch of duos together. Because over in Europe, this is a Willie Festival, Gonzales, Texas, I think, 1979 or something.
Wow.
That's the Giesenthal brothers. That's me playing a solo act at the Saxon Pub in Austin. I played piano, I played guitar, I played bass. I was all over the board musically because I didn't have one talent that was marketable until I learned to play solo and be an entertainer. Crappy voice and all. You know what, Jim? One thing I can do, I can talk.
No, but music, like I say, is very healing, and you can tell stories, you can inspire people through the music as well. And I know one of the things that really means a great deal to you, and I love this phraseology, I love this title, When Our Hearts All Beat Together. Case in point.
Crazy games that we play. The power, love, the glory. It's amazing what we do. When the stars talk, do we listen? What they're saying. see when our hearts all beat together. When our hearts all beat together. When our hearts all beat together. We'll be free. 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 The children's eyes are upon us. Decisions we make, they will bear. If we gamble away their future, what is there left to share? Too often we stand divided, but no one willing to bend to the dreams we have in common. Bring us together again. When our hearts all beat together, our troubles will disappear. Laughing at all this madness, we'll find that the road is clear. The tensions may be rising, somehow we all will see. When our hearts all beat together. When our hearts all beat together. When our hearts all beat together. We'll be free. We'll be free. We'll be free. When our hearts all beat together. When our hearts all beat together. When our hearts all beat together. We'll be free. We'll be free. We'll be free. We'll be free.
And for everybody watching, that is Gary singing, and that was 1993. What the
But
heck
that
are you
was
talking?
also that
What are you
was
talking
also-
about? You don't have a great voice. That's
No,
fantastic.
there was also Keith Asbury, the picture I showed you. He's singing all those high vocal parts.
The higher versions, but I'm telling you, that was great. What inspired you to create that? That's very
I don't know, I
inspiring. That's a
started writing
message we
songs.
need to hear today.
I started writing songs way back in the late 60s, early 70s. I've probably written 150. A lot of people in Nashville I submitted songs to. A lot of them were interested in them, major artists, but I never got on the final cut on the album. That song I wrote, I think, in 91. Did it at a quick studio here in 93. It's kind of not the greatest production. But I just wanted to get it down. And actually, I met Marty from the Jefferson Airplane, Marty Ballin, here in Austin. Gave him a cassette with 4 songs on it. One of them was that. And he called me back about 3 weeks later and said, "Yeah, I want to record that song and 2 others." And I went, "Wow, well, great, great, great. I got a recording." But 2 months later, he called back and said, "Well, I'm going to Nashville. They want me to try to do a country album, so I have to put this off." And it got put off indefinitely. But so I never got any final cuts, but I enjoyed playing music. I enjoyed writing, and I like that song.
That song, When Our Hearts All Beat Together, I mean, that's such an incredible song, appropriate for all time, but especially now. I think we need to, that needs to be out there. Have you ever thought of resurrecting it? It's a fantastic,
Well, I'd have to get
positive message, Gary.
I would have to get a producer and someone to do it, and a good artist and distribution, and I'm just too busy. It's out there. If people want to record it, they can contact me if they want to. You know, I've got it published, so you'd have to let me know if you want to record it and so forth. But it's out there if someone wants to. Personally, me, I don't have the energy, the time, the discipline to do it. I'm too busy. with what I'm doing now. That was
With what you're doing now. Tell us about the things you're working on now. What are some of the exciting things that you're working on that you want to share with us?
I spend a lot of time doing readings. I'm grateful that I don't have to go anywhere. I traveled my whole life, especially with traffic, everywhere. So my life in general terms is kind of boring, really, but not to me, because I get to be at home. I get to read. I've never had so much time to be able to just read without having to hop in the car and go do a gig or hop in the car and go do this. Read, learn stuff, do readings. To an observer, it's a very boring, lonely life, but to me, it's great. I got a beautiful lady that I'm with, extremely grateful for that. I got no complaints, no bitches. And to some degree, considering who I am and what I got, I couldn't get it much better. Now, if I had a great voice and rich and famous, that might be more fun, but here I am. And I'm very grateful.
And we're grateful you're on the Jim Masters Show live
Very grateful.
the second time. Is there more material in the offing, more books and more things? And
I've started a couple. Yeah, I've started a couple. It's time.
It does take time. It's the
This
balance
book,
of,
A Second Eternity, I knew the story, so
you know what, folks? Get them both.
yeah, there
Makes
you go.
it easier.
That
Makes it easier. Get that one of them.
When I wrote that story, I knew the whole story. I didn't have to think about what to write. I had to think about what to leave out. When I did the book on lithomancy, there was no book on it. I learned from a lady the basic system. I put in a bunch of stuff about what the stones represent, common astrology. I put a bunch of pictures in and how I would interpret them. And I used the same method that I wrote in the book. Nobody else wrote about this sort of system. So nobody can prove me wrong, really, because it works. It works. It's the most important thing. There's a song that came out in the 70s. Everything works if you let it.
That's right.
Think about it that way.
What would you say to somebody who's watching right now? We talked about somebody who might be, fearful of death. And I think from time to time in our lives, we all have been the death of our loved ones, the death of ourselves, the death of the experience. But somebody who's not necessarily dealing with that right now on their plate, but they are struggling. They're in a dark place. They can't seem to find a way to climb out. They don't see that light. They don't see that opportunity. They are down on themselves. The world seems to be down on them. They're a good person, but they just don't. And they might even be somebody who's always helped everybody else and rescued everybody else. And now they need some attention, and there's nobody around to guide them and help them and inspire them. What would you say to somebody watching live or watching this later who's in that position in their life right now?
A couple techniques. Just like playing music, I tell people because it's true, most pop musicians learn by the techniques of the radio, the hits, the song, techniques, choices and techniques. Number one, you don't have to play the same doubt and fear record you did yesterday. If it plays in your head, we're partially responsible. Now, you could be going through a crisis. Everybody does. But a lot of these crises we go through they're not permanent. As I was saying, you lose your arm in a car accident, that's permanent. But the frustration, anxiety doesn't have to be. Everybody's going to go through challenges. But by using techniques and decisions, whether it's getting help, taking a walk, talking to someone, meditate, that's the most powerful thing we can do. Meditate. And I'll refresh your viewers on how to do it. Lay down, sit down, get comfortable, breathe slow, breathe deep, slower, deeper. Then you're right at the point of meditation. And if you find yourself thinking, bring your attention back to right here, right now, breathing. Or think of a mantra or color or a light going from your head to your toes. Think of one thing so you're not thinking of everything, because turning off the worrying mind, which we all have, and it's always chattering, but you cover your eyes, you can't see any light. Same thing, your subconscious your conscious mind by its nature stops the subconscious from chattering all day long. so we can go about normal life without being schizophrenic like I was, you know. But real power's inside. If you decide to grow and evolve and you start taking steps that direction, and every time you feel yesterday's doubt and broken records and crap and disdain, throw it out. You may have to throw it out a couple times. You may have to clean the garage a couple times. But you clean it a couple times, it'll be cleaner than if you never cleaned it.
It is true.
It's techniques, it's decision. There's help available anywhere with whether it's hospitals or friends or taking a walk, or most important, love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
People do not do that enough. It ain't selfish to love yourself. It's selfish to not love yourself. Infinite Mind gave you a possibility of being who you are now. That's a gift. And we all get curveballs because we have to learn how to hit the ball. We all go through struggles and doubts so we can learn to conquer them. We're not being tortured. Even now in this crazy world of intensity, it's showing us what needs to be fixed. Thank you, God. We need to know where the holes are. Where's the duct tape?
Right.
That's my solutions. There are solutions. Nothing's in vain. We don't go through anything to be tortured. We go through it to see, oh, I need to work on this. And once we make the decision, and especially we ask our guides and meditate, and then you'll start making improvements. And it takes time. You know, you don't learn to be a master golfer the first day you swing at a ball, right?
If you swing at a club, then you're having an argument with somebody else, and the clubs are up.
There you go.
And it's a sword fight.
There you go, brother. But yeah, have faith. Have faith. Try
have
technique.
faith. Believe in yourself. I know It sounds cliche, but you really have to. You have to find a way to appreciate, respect, acknowledge, and love. No, we're not talking about narcissism and everything else. That's a whole other thing. But really appreciate and love the reflection you're seeing in that mirror, right?
And it may take a little practice, may take a little time. I went through such severe depression, like I said, in my 20s. But I have to admit, I'm grateful for it, because now I can truly say, wow, I did a 180 and came out ahead, and I like the way I smell.
Even that. That's really going deep. Is there from your perspective, do you think, is there a fine line between sanity and insanity, sane, insane? Do you think is there a weave with that for people?
I think so. The human mind is complex. I'm certainly not a doctor, but I've been through all kind of complex situations and feelings and thoughts. Yeah, so there's all kinds of issues and all kinds of problems, but our real power is in deciding to not be drawn into fear and doubt. And if we see it, to look at it, okay, there's a challenge, you know, garage is dirty, get the broom. Nobody is without promise. No situation is so heavy that there's not a chance. And if there's not a chance and it kills you, you're in heaven. Meanwhile, appreciate yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself. You know, we all have mistakes. We've all, got BO. We've all done the wrong thing at the wrong time. Welcome to being human. If you never made mistakes, man, you've never learned how to re-aim, recalibrate. So everything we go through can give us meaning, help, intelligence, and support. But we have to choose to see it that way and benefit, rather than bitch and complain and feel picked on, because we've all been there before, but we don't have to stay there. Techniques, decisions.
How do you feel about AI?
Boy, it's way over my head as far as what it can and can't do. It's pretty clever, just chat GPT. I mean, sometimes I just ask it to write a poem or a song or give me some information, and it's incredible. To some degree, I think it can be terrifying, but it's out of my hands to know how to regulate it or so forth. Hell, nuclear weapons are terrifying, more than AI. Although if they got together, it could be really confusing. I'm an optimist. And I'm an optimist even if worst case scenario comes along, because sometimes we may not be able to prevent worst case scenario from happening, but there's always a reason things are happening. And if we search for that reason and search for truth and let go of our bitterness and fear and anger, techniques, decisions, we'll benefit. We'll be at peace.
Do you think a lot of the reason why there is that fear and anger is people might be afraid of change, of the unknown, of going forward and relinquishing or seeing things that they're familiar with and they're comfortable with and that they know fading away, disappearing, or tweaking, changing, morphing, and that scares them? A lot of fear and being scared, all of that is what creates sometimes the anger and the rage. It's really fear underneath all that.
Absolutely. And like I said, we all go through periods when we experience fear and doubt. But we don't have to stay there. And if we ask our mind and ask our hearts and have good intentions and want to learn, you don't have to have an NDE. You don't have to be a scholar to raise your consciousness. You really don't. And that's the solution, no matter what the situation is. So, yeah, if you experience fear and doubt, welcome to being human. But you don't have to stay there. I know that. I've been through it. I've been extensively through fear and doubt. I went through so much depression in my 20s. For example, in high school, my girlfriend broke up with me the week before the prom. Oh, man, broke my heart. A friend suggested I ask this other lady out, and I did. Hoping to get laid, I got so drunk, I ended up in a coma in the hospital for a week. Blood poisoning, alcohol poisoning, 1965. I spent my whole life as a musician in bars, and I have never been drunk one time since 1965. I made the choice then to not become an alcoholic, not drink my blues away. And I can comfortably drink a beer or a drink, and that's it. Again,
that's 59 years. Wow.
Pardon me?
That's 59 years that you haven't. Wow.
Oh, that's clubs and bars and college.
59 years. Huh? Congratulations. Yeah.
Most of the time I don't even drink. But boy, I did in high school. And boy, that ended it, man, when I ended up almost dead in the hospital in a coma for a week. And I was dreaming of flying through going through a waterfall with my mouth open.
It was that whole time period too, right? And then this late 60s and the whole Woodstock. And did you get into all of that as well?
Oh, yeah, man. I was a musician. I started in 1965. I went through the whole sex, drugs, rock and roll thing. Absolutely. Especially as a musician, it was hard to avoid. Even in a conservative place like Lubbock, Texas, where I went to college. But then I moved to Austin, and it was pretty hip and pretty crazy. And, I went through my share of drugs, rock and roll, and music. But I learned a lot. I learned limits. I never became a drug addict. I never became a drunk. I became a hard worker. But I'm glad for the experience. I don't suggest anybody do drugs, because the best way to live is pure, good food, good attitude, and so forth. But I ain't perfect. I went through that to learn, to experience, and so forth. And I'm very grateful, because now I can see people who have drug problems, and I can tell them, hey, you can change it. Believe in it. Like I say, believe in a home run, take a big bat, and you're going to hit more home runs, period. Fact.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a good faith, positive spirit. This has really been an incredible conversation once again, my friend, and always is. And this is the encore performance, return engagement on our show. Congratulations on all the successes of the books and everything else that you're doing. And we encourage folks, if you want to learn more, you can go to the website right there on your screen. There's his name, GaryWimmer.com. Also, people were asking the books. Where can they get the books? Through the website, or can they go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, places online where books are sold as well?
They may have them on Barnes and Noble. I think they do links, but I self-published on Amazon and Kindle. So if you go to Amazon and
Amazon,
Kindle,
Kindle,
either one, you can get
Amazon, Kindle.
you can get Amazon Kindle. Thank God the world is still fun. I keep doing circles. It keeps me entertained. It's never boring.
That's the way to stay balanced, just by
There
doing
you
that.
go.
I agree with that one, and I agree with that one,
From
but
now
I'm in
on,
the
I just
middle.
go, okay. Yeah, but
Exactly.
they're both
I
available.
don't know if I'm coming or going. That's
There you
it.
go.
But there's the website, folks, to learn more about Gary, and of course his readings and everything else he does. He's immersed, as he said, in a lot of different things, and again, all for positive reasons and to inspire and uplift and help people. He's been through a lot in his life, and it hasn't all been sugar coated. And he's open and authentic and real about it. And I think that's what makes him relatable, is the fact that he tells his story. And he does it in a very honest way, which is refreshing, because you don't always hear that these days. A lot of times you hear people, always sugarcoating or just telling you the positive. Sometimes even on social media, all you see is the positive of that person. Their pictures are perfect. Their stories are perfect. Everything is perfect. And it's almost as if they're a mannequin, a robot. They never, there's never anything going on that's disruptive in their lives, and that is a whole other thing too. There is the pressures of things like that too, social media and the superficiality of things, and sometimes people having to keep up with the Joneses and all that. Doesn't sound like you buy into any of
I basically, if I'm going to buy into anything, it's going to be that I'm not powerless. In fact, if anything, we have an abundance of power to recreate things, to look at things in a fresh new light, because it's never the situation we're in life. It really isn't. It feels like it, but it's how we look at the situation. That's the key. It's not the situation, it's how you look at it. And if you look at it from the point of view, okay, this is a challenge, but I need to learn this, life's presenting this to me, I can come out ahead, guides help me, then you will benefit. If you look at it like, damn, this ain't right, then you'll feel nothing's right. Attitude, intentions, that helps you through everything, regardless of what it is. Everybody has a different role, different challenges, different karma, different makeup, different genes, but there's only one infinite light, and we're all connected to it. And if we tune into that rather than our fear and our doubt, just like we said, if you tune into golf, go practice, you'll become a good golfer. You don't just walk by the golf course and, wow, all of a sudden I'm going to beat Tiger Woods. Decisions, practice, techniques, follow through, intentions, attitudes, perspective. That's the real goal in life, not the situation, because we sometimes can change it and sometimes we can't, but we always change the way we deal with it. That's power.
it. Sure is. My friend, thanks for stopping by with your wit and wisdom once again. Always a pleasure, and always good to see you. And again, you look really, really terrific. You look like you're in a sweet spot. You're content. You look healthy. You look fit. There's a glow about you, which is a cool thing to see. And just keep going, my friend, and come by and see us again. As I said last time, we were going to keep the porch light on for you, and we sure did. And everybody is enjoying. Thank you, Mr. Masters and Mr. Wimmer. A pleasure. All these great comments coming in here. Thank you, everybody. Crystal, thank you, Jim and Gary, for a great conversation, your openness about your experiences. I wish you continued success in your work. And thank you for coming back to see us, Gary. A wonderful conversation. And thank you for being here, Gary. Great conversation. And just some of the comments coming in from the live viewers. We encourage those watching this later to drop a comment in our comments section as well. This is archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, so you can share it on your social media, everybody, and give this episode, if you enjoyed it, a like. That helps us continue to grow as well, and that is just the thumbs up like on this episode on our YouTube channel. We would love it if you do that. And be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We can see this episode again. You can also see the original episode Gary was on as well, and hundreds and hundreds of more great guests. And leave a comment for us, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, like, and if you want to share the episode, you can share it from our YouTube channel and your social media. Gary, again, thank you very, very much. There's the website again, folks, to learn more about all the wonderful things he's doing. And truly, I hope you enjoyed your return visit with me and
I loved it.
Viewers.
And thank you again, Jim, for what you do.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It was a terrific, and again, nothing is scripted. We didn't have pre-prepared questions. I'm not reading anything, neither are you. Free-flowing conversation, and that's the best kind, isn't it?
Absolutely. Spontaneity, really, truth, honesty, integrity, and believing in your own power and loving yourself. Loving yourself. I had a hard problem with that, and I finally learned to, and that's real power. It's not selfish. It's intelligent.
Exactly right. Good stuff to leave us with, my friend. Come see us again. And truly, I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you again, Gary.
Very much. Thank you, Jim. Have a good evening. And to all you folks, think outside the box. Ask your guide to help you. Feel empowered. Press that button, and don't be surprised if you start becoming more empowered.
Absolutely. Blessings to you and yours, and we'll see you again soon, Gary, okay?
Take care, brother.
Take care. Cheers. Gary L. Wimmer joining us here, an incredible psychic and healer and spiritualist, somebody with a positive mind. He's been through so many things in his life. And boy, wasn't it so great that he came back to our show to update us on things he's working on, his perspective, and sharing that near-death experience that really, back in 1977, changed everything for him. He already felt he had these talents and abilities, but that really brought it to the forefront. Hit by the car, dies, comes back, lives to tell the story and to inspire so many others, and shares it in his book and in his work. Really quite an amazing conversation. And again, the second one here on the Jim Masters Show with Gary, who's a renowned psychic and also musician and singer, and he's got a good voice. You heard some of it in that clip we played, the music, which I thought was really, really good. And what a beautiful song that is, huh? Just really inspiring. He's got a lot to share, and he's shared it with us. And you've shared your time with us, and we value that greatly, gang. We work hard putting these shows together for you day in and day out, hundreds and hundreds of shows with all these amazing guests from all these different backgrounds, celebrity friends, special guests from all these different genres of life. And hopefully you have a good time with us, a lot of laughs. We make you think, we make you laugh, and you share some time that is worth it, because we know there's a lot of things you could be doing. So the fact that you're here at the Jim Masters Show means a lot. And some of you have been with us since day one, which is many moons ago. And we thank you for that. Some of you joined just recently. Some of you are viewers and subscribers to our YouTube channel. We thank you, thank you, thank you. If you just subscribe to the channel now, we thank you as well. It means the world to us. Be sure and click the notification bell icon so you never miss any of our episodes, and you can partake and enjoy. All right, gang, we love you all. Thanks so much. And Crystal, watching in Connecticut, good night and lovities. It's evening now for those who are watching this, because, once it's archived, people can watch this morning, noon, and night. But right now it's evening for us at the time of the live show. So she's saying good night. Thank you, Jim, for another fantastic show. I'll share this episode. Terrific. Yeah, gang, you can share all of our episodes. Go right to our YouTube channel, and there's a share icon. You can share it on your social media, and that will do, it'll direct people back to our channel, and they can see this once again, or for the first time, because we archive everything. All right, with all of that said, this was really fantastic. And just want to let you know, too, we've got a lot of great people coming up. On Saturday, we've got a very special show with an Irish singer-songwriter who's very open about his story and his life, his heartfelt story and new music. James McGrath is a very accomplished and popular Irish singer, songwriter, musician. He's going to be with us coming up on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 11 a.m. Pacific. So 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Pacific for those watching live. And that'll be 7 p.m. for our viewers in Ireland, Scotland, the UK as well. This coming up this Saturday, a Saturday episode. We haven't had a Saturday episode in a while. So join us on Saturday as well. And lots of great guests coming up. Again, that's for those that are watching live. If you're watching this, 6 months from now, James will have already been on the show, so you can scroll back and watch that episode. And coming up soon, we've got legends George Whitty and Ellis Hall joining us. Incredible musicians, singers. George is a multi-Grammy winning performer, and Ellis Hall, wow, he's been with everybody. Tower of Power. He's sung with all the greats. They're going to be with us coming up soon on an episode, which we're very excited about here at JMS, the Jim Masters Show. As Gary said, and as we always say here on the show, love one another, take care of one another, and don't forget to take time to love yourself. It's so important to do that. We've all had to learn how to do that. Didn't always come easy for everybody. And when we say love yourself, we don't mean narcissism. We mean really appreciate your talents and your gifts because they are great. I have them. I share them. You have them. Share them with the world as well. We'll see you again soon. We love having you here. Thanks for your time. This is Jim Masters thanking you for your time this time. Till next time. And come see us again. We'll keep the porch light on for you and you and you and you here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Be well. Take care. Cheers.